Every morning, the same woman sat in the back corner of the cafe. Thin frame, worn jacket, tangled hair. Everyone avoided her, called her a drifter, a ghost. Everyone except Sam Rodriguez, a single father who placed a hot coffee and sliced toast in front of her without a word. Then one morning, the door swung open. 4 bodyguards in black suits, 2 lawyers in pressed gray. They scanned the room and asked, "Who is the man who has been helping her every morning? Who is she? What was it about that poor woman that made them come to Sam?" Sam Rodriguez wiped down the counter for the 3rd time that morning. The rag was already damp and gray, but he kept moving it in circles anyway. It gave him something to do while the clock dragged towards 6:30. The cafe smelled like burnt coffee and yesterday's grease. Beacon Street Cafe was not the kind of place people came to for ambiance. They came because it was cheap and open early. He had been working the morning shift for 2 years now. The pay was barely enough to cover rent and groceries, and there was never anything left over. His son Luke was 7 years old and needed new shoes every few months because kids grew fast and wore through soles faster. Sam thought about that a lot, about how much things cost and how little he had, about the overdue electric bill sitting on the kitchen table at home, about the way his co-workers looked at him when he picked up extra shifts, like he was desperate. He was desperate, but he hated that they could see it. The door chimed. A woman walked in. She wore a dark jacket that looked like it had been pulled from a donation bin. The fabric was faded, and the cuffs were frayed. Her hair hung loose and unwashed around her face. She did not make eye contact with anyone. She moved to the back corner of the cafe and sat down at the same table she always chose, the one by the window that looked out onto the alley. Sam had seen her before. She came in almost every morning now, always quiet, always alone. The other staff called her the drifter. One of the waitresses, a woman named Becca, had said once that the woman probably slept in the park. Another co-worker, a guy named Tony, said she gave him the creeps and that someone should call the cops. But no one ever did. They just avoided her. Sam did not avoid her. He walked over with a pot of coffee and a small plate. On the plate was a piece of toast, buttered and cut into smaller pieces. He set both down in front of her without saying anything. She looked up at him briefly. Her eyes were tired. She did not smile, but she nodded. Then she reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a handful of coins. She counted them slowly and placed them on the table. It was not enough for both the coffee and the toast, but Sam did not say anything. He just nodded back and walked away. Becca leaned against the counter near the register and watched him. She shook her head. "You know she's never gonna pay full price, right?" Becca said. Sam shrugged. He poured himself a cup of coffee and took a sip. It was too hot and tasted like metal. "She's not bothering anyone," Sam said. "She's bothering me," Becca muttered. "Makes the place look bad." Sam did not respond. He turned back to the counter and started wiping it down again. The woman in the corner drank her coffee slowly. She held the cup with both hands like she was trying to keep warm. The toast sat untouched for a while before she finally picked up a piece and ate it. She chewed carefully, like it hurt. Sam wondered if she had bad teeth, or maybe she was just that hungry. This went on for weeks. She came in almost every day. Sam brought her coffee and toast. She paid what she could. Sometimes it was enough. Most times, it was not. The other staff kept complaining, but Sam ignored them. He had his own problems to worry about. Luke's school had sent home a note saying there was a field trip coming up, and it cost $20. Sam did not have $20. He would have to figure something out. Maybe pick up another shift. Maybe skip buying groceries for a few days. One morning, it was raining hard. The kind of rain that soaked through jackets and made the streets smell like oil and rust. The woman came in dripping wet. Her jacket was dark with water, and her hair stuck to her face. She sat down in her usual spot and did not take off the jacket. Sam brought over the coffee and toast. When he set the plate down, he noticed her hands were shaking. She tried to pick up the knife to spread the butter, but her fingers would not cooperate. The knife clattered onto the table. Sam looked at her. She was staring down at her hands like they had betrayed her. He picked up the knife and cut the toast into smaller pieces himself. Then he buttered each piece and set the plate back down in front of her. She looked up at him. Her eyes were wet, but he could not tell if it was from the rain or something else. "Thank you," she said quietly. Her voice was soft and steady. It surprised him. He had expected her to sound rough or broken, but she did not. She sounded like someone who used to have a different life. "You're welcome," Sam said. She looked at him for a long moment, then picked up a piece of toast and ate it. After that, things changed slightly. She still came in every morning, but now she would look at Sam when he brought her coffee. Sometimes she would ask him small questions. How was his day? Was it busy? Simple things. He answered them simply. He did not know what else to say, but the questions kept coming, and eventually they turned into something closer to conversation. One morning she asked if he had family. He told her he had a son. She asked how old. He said 7. She asked what his name was. He said Luke. She nodded and drank her coffee. "That's a good name," she said. Sam did not know what to say to that, so he just nodded. A few days later, Sam had to bring Luke to the cafe. The babysitter had canceled last minute, and he could not afford to miss a shift. Luke sat at the counter with a coloring book and a box of crayons. He was quiet and well-behaved, but Sam still felt guilty. A cafe at 6 in the morning was no place for a kid. The woman in the corner noticed. She watched Luke for a while, then stood up and walked over. Sam tensed. He did not know what she was going to do, but she just smiled at Luke and asked if she could see what he was coloring. Luke showed her. It was a picture of a dinosaur. She told him it was very good. Then she asked if he knew how to fold paper into shapes. Luke shook his head. She picked up a napkin and folded it carefully. Her hands moved slowly but precisely. When she was done, she handed Luke a small paper crane. He stared at it like it was magic. "Wow," Luke said. "Can you teach me?" She nodded. She sat down next to him and showed him how to fold. Sam watched from behind the counter. He felt something strange in his chest, something warm and uncomfortable at the same time. Luke looked up at her while they folded and asked, "Why do you look so sad?" The woman stopped folding. She looked at Luke for a long time. Then she smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "I'm not sad right now," she said softly. Luke seemed satisfied with that answer and went back to folding. After that day, the woman came to the cafe more often. She still sat in the back corner, but now she would wave at Luke if he was there. She would talk to Sam a little longer. She asked him things, what he liked to do, what he wanted. He told her he used to want to be a chef. She asked why he stopped. He said life got in the way. She nodded like she understood. One morning she asked him if he ever thought about starting over. He laughed and said he did not have the money or the time to start over. She looked at him seriously. "If you did," she said, "would you?" He thought about it. Then he nodded. "Yeah," he said. "I think I would." She smiled. It was the first real smile he had seen from her. "Good," she said. Sam did not know what she meant by that, but something about the way she said it stayed with him. The next week, she did not come in. Sam noticed immediately. He made the coffee anyway. He cut the toast. He set it on her table and left it there, even though the seat was empty. Becca saw him do it and rolled her eyes. "She's not coming back," Becca said. "People like that never stick around." Sam did not respond. He just went back to work. But the seat stayed empty. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. By the 4th day, Sam felt something he had not expected. He felt worried. He did not know her name. He did not know where she lived. He did not know anything about her except that she came to the cafe every morning and drank coffee and ate toast that he cut for her. But now she was gone, and he felt like he had lost something. Tony made a joke about it. He said maybe the crazy lady finally moved on to another cafe. Sam told him to shut up. Tony looked surprised, but did not say anything else. On the 5th day, Sam still made the coffee, still cut the toast, still set it on her table. The cup went cold. The toast went stale, but he left it there anyway. Becca walked past and shook her head. "You're wasting food," she said. "It's my food," Sam said. "I paid for it." That was a lie. He had not paid for it. He had just taken it. But Becca did not push it. That night, after his shift ended, Sam walked through the neighborhood. He did not know what he was looking for. Maybe he thought he would see her somewhere, sitting on a bench, standing outside a store. But he did not see her. The streets were empty except for a few people hurrying home in the cold. He went home to Luke. They ate dinner together. Mac and cheese from a box. Luke told him about school, about a test he had taken, about a game he played at recess. Sam listened, but his mind was somewhere else. He kept thinking about the empty seat in the back corner of the cafe. About the woman who used to sit there, about the way she had smiled at Luke when she taught him to fold paper. He wondered if she was okay. He wondered if she was still alive. He did not know why it mattered so much. But it did. On the 6th day, she came back. Sam was refilling the sugar dispensers when the door chimed. He looked up out of habit and saw her standing in the doorway. She looked thinner than before. Her jacket hung looser on her frame, and there were dark circles under her eyes. But she was there. She walked to her usual table and sat down. Sam felt something loosen in his chest. He had not realized how tightly he had been holding it. He made her coffee, cut her toast, brought it over without saying anything. She looked up at him, and her lips moved like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. She just nodded. Sam nodded back and walked away. Becca leaned over and whispered, "Told you she'd come back." Sam ignored her. The woman drank her coffee slowly. She did not touch the toast right away. She just sat there with her hands wrapped around the cup, staring out the window at the alley. Sam watched her from behind the counter. Something about her seemed different, more fragile, like she was holding herself together with effort. Later that morning, after the breakfast rush died down, Sam wiped down the tables near her. She was writing something in a small notebook. The pages were yellowed, and the cover was falling apart. Her handwriting was neat, but cramped, like she was trying to fit too many words into too little space. She did not look up when he approached. "You okay?" Sam asked. She stopped writing. She closed the notebook and placed her hands flat on top of it. "I'm fine," she said. Her voice was quiet. Sam did not believe her, but he did not push. He just nodded and kept wiping the table. "Thank you," she added, "for still making the coffee, even when I wasn't here." Sam stopped wiping. He looked at her. "How did you know I did that?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Becca told me. She said you were wasting food." Sam felt his face heat up. He went back to wiping the table. "It wasn't a waste," he said. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she opened the notebook again and went back to writing. Over the next few days, Sam noticed more strange things. She would sit in the corner and cry sometimes. Not loudly, just silent tears running down her face while she stared at nothing. Other times, she would flinch when someone walked too close. Once, a man in a suit sat down at the table next to hers, and she stood up so quickly that she knocked over her coffee. Sam rushed over with a rag to clean it up. She apologized over and over, her voice shaking. The man in the suit did not even look at her. He just kept scrolling on his phone. Sam helped her sit back down. He brought her a new cup of coffee. She held it with both hands and would not meet his eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It's okay," Sam said. "Accidents happen." She shook her head. "I'm sorry." Sam did not know what she was apologizing for, but he could see that she meant it. Another morning, she was writing in her notebook again. Sam was clearing a nearby table when she suddenly tore out a page, crumpled it up, and shoved it into her pocket. Her hands were shaking. She looked around the cafe like she was checking to see if anyone had noticed. Sam pretended he had not seen anything. He just kept clearing dishes and moved on to the next table. But he thought about it. He thought about the notebook, the tears, the flinching, the way she seemed to be carrying something heavy that no one else could see. He wondered if she was in trouble, if she was hiding from someone, or maybe she was just sick. Maybe she had something wrong with her mind. He did not know, and he did not know how to ask. One afternoon, near the end of his shift, Sam saw her sitting in the corner with her head down on the table. Her arms were folded under her head, and her shoulders were shaking. He walked over. "Hey," he said softly. "You all right?" She did not lift her head. She just shook it slowly. Sam looked around. The cafe was mostly empty. Becca was in the back. Tony had already left. He crouched down next to her table. "What's wrong?" he asked. She lifted her head slightly. Her face was blotchy, and her eyes were red. "I'm just tired," she said. Her voice cracked. "When's the last time you ate something?" Sam asked. She did not answer. Sam stood up and went to the kitchen. He came back with a sandwich, turkey, and cheese on white bread. Nothing fancy. He set it down in front of her. "Eat," he said. She looked at the sandwich like she did not know what to do with it. Then she picked it up and took a small bite. She chewed slowly. Sam watched her for a moment, then went back to the counter. When his shift ended, she was still there. The sandwich was half eaten. She was staring out the window again. Sam grabbed his jacket and walked over. "You should go home," he said. She looked at him. "I don't have a home." Sam felt his stomach drop. He had suspected as much, but hearing her say it out loud made it real. "Where do you sleep?" he asked. She shrugged. "Different places." Sam thought about Luke, about the apartment they lived in. It was small, and the heat did not always work, and the walls were thin, but it was warm, and it was safe. He thought about what it would be like to not have that, to not have anywhere to go. "You can't stay here," he said. "They'll lock up soon." She nodded. She stood up and pulled her jacket tighter around herself. Then she walked toward the door. Sam watched her go. He felt useless. That night, he could not stop thinking about her, about where she was sleeping, if she was cold, if she was safe. Luke asked him what was wrong, and Sam said nothing. But Luke kept looking at him with those big worried eyes. So Sam told him he was just tired. Luke seemed to accept that. The next morning, she was back. Sam made her coffee, cut her toast. She ate it slowly and drank the coffee like it was the only warm thing she would get all day. Maybe it was. Later, when the cafe was quiet, she spoke to him. She asked if he was happy. The question caught him off guard. "What do you mean?" he asked. She gestured around the cafe. "Here, doing this. Are you happy?" Sam thought about it. He thought about the early mornings and the low pay and the way his back hurt at the end of every shift. He thought about Luke and the bills and the field trip money he still had not figured out. He thought about the dream he used to have. The one about opening his own restaurant, about cooking food that people would remember. That dream felt like it belonged to someone else now. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I'm getting by." She looked at him with those tired eyes. "That's not the same thing." Sam did not know what to say to that. She looked down at her coffee. "Do you ever think about Long Tot?" Sam frowned. About what? Kindness, she said. Do you ever think about it? About whether it's worth anything? Sam shrugged. I don't think about it much. I just do what feels right. She smiled faintly. That's rare. What is? Sam asked. Doing what feels right without thinking about it, she said. Most people calculate. They weigh the cost. They decide if it's worth it. She looked up at him. You don't do that. Sam felt uncomfortable. He did not like being looked at so closely. I just make coffee, he said. She shook her head. No. You see people. You saw me. Everyone else looked away. Sam did not know what to say. He went back to wiping the counter. A few days later, she asked him about his dream, about being a chef. Sam was surprised she remembered. He had only mentioned it once. If you could do it, she said. If you had the money and the time and no one depending on you. Would you? Sam thought about Luke, about how much he needed him, about how leaving his job would mean no income and no health insurance and no way to keep the apartment. He thought about all the things he could not afford to risk. It doesn't matter, he said. I can't. She leaned forward. But if you could, would you? Sam met her eyes. There was something intense in her gaze. Something that made him feel like his answer mattered more than it should. Yeah, he said. I would. She sat back. She smiled. Good. Why does that matter? Sam asked. She did not answer. She just went back to drinking her coffee. That conversation stuck with him. He thought about it while he cooked dinner for Luke, while he helped with homework, while he lay awake at night staring at the ceiling. He thought about what it would be like to start over. To have a chance. It felt impossible. But for the first time in years, he let himself imagine it. The woman kept coming to the cafe. She and Sam talked more. Small conversations. Nothing deep. But Sam started to feel like he knew her, even though he did not know her name. He did not know where she came from or why she was the way she was. But he knew the way she held her coffee cup. The way she folded the napkin after she ate. The way she looked at Luke when he came in, like she was seeing something precious that she had lost. One morning, she did not come in. Sam made the coffee anyway, set it on her table. The seat stayed empty. The next day, she did not come in either. Sam felt the worry creeping back. He told himself she was fine, that maybe she had found somewhere better to go, but he did not believe it. On the third day, he asked Becca if she had seen the woman. Becca shook her head. Maybe she finally got help, Becca said, or maybe she just moved on. Sam did not respond. He just kept working. On the fourth day, Tony made a joke. He said the drifter must have frozen to death. Sam turned around and told him to shut his mouth. Tony looked shocked. So did Becca. Sam had never raised his voice at work before. But he didn't care. He went to the back and stood in the walk-in freezer for a few minutes, letting the cold air sting his face. When he came back out, Becca was waiting for him. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," Sam said. "You're not fine," Becca said. "You're upset about that woman." Sam did not say anything. Becca sighed. "Look, I get it. You feel bad for her, but you can't save everyone, Sam. You can barely save yourself." Sam knew she was right, but it did not make him feel any better. On the fifth day, Sam still made the coffee, still cut the toast. He set it on her table and left it there. The cup went cold. The toast got hard. But he did not throw it away. At the end of his shift, he walked through the neighborhood again. He checked the park, the bus stops, the alleys. He did not see her anywhere. He felt a heaviness in his chest that he could not shake. That night, Luke asked him why he was sad. Sam said he wasn't sad. Luke did not believe him. "Is it because of the lady?" Luke asked. Sam looked at him. "What lady?" "The one who taught me to fold paper," Luke said. "She's nice. Is she okay?" Sam did not know what to say. He pulled Luke into a hug. "I don't know, buddy," he said quietly. "I hope so." On the 6th day, Sam woke up with a knot in his stomach. He got Luke ready for school, dropped him off, went to work. The cafe was the same as always, the same smell, the same sounds, the same people ordering the same things. But the seat in the back corner was empty. Sam made the coffee, cut the toast, set it down. The routine had become something like a prayer, a way of hoping that she was still out there, that she was still alive. Becca did not say anything this time. She just watched him with sad eyes. The day dragged on. Sam moved through his shift like he was underwater. Everything felt slow and muffled. He kept glancing at the door, waiting for it to open, waiting for her to walk in. She did not. At the end of the day, Sam took off his apron and hung it up. He grabbed his jacket and walked toward the door. He looked back at the empty seat one more time. The cold coffee, the untouched toast. He did not know why it hurt so much. She was just a woman, a stranger, someone he barely knew. But she had become part of his routine, part of his day. And now she was gone. Sam walked home in the dark. The streets were empty and the air was cold. He thought about her sitting in the park somewhere, or huddled in a doorway, or lying in a hospital, or worse. He thought about all the things he should have done, should have asked her name, should have given her his number, should have found her help, should have done more. But he had not, and now it was too late. When he got home, Luke was already asleep. Sam sat on the couch and stared at the wall. He felt hollow, like something had been taken from him that he did not know he needed. He did not sleep much that night. He kept thinking about her, about the way she had smiled when Luke folded the paper crane, about the way she had asked him if he would start over if he could, about the way she had said that kindness was the most valuable thing a person could have. He wondered if she had been trying to tell him something, if there had been a message he was supposed to understand, but if there was, he had missed it. The next morning, Sam went to work. He made the coffee, cut the toast, set it on the table. The seat was still empty, and he knew, deep down, that it was going to stay that way. The door swung open just after 9 in the morning. Sam was refilling the napkin dispensers when he heard it. He looked up and froze. 4 men in black suits walked in first. They were tall and broad-shouldered, and moved like they had done this 1,000 times before. Behind them came 2 people in gray, a man and a woman. They carried briefcases and wore the kind of clothes that cost more than Sam made in a month. The cafe went quiet. Everyone stopped talking. Even the espresso machine seemed to hum softer. The woman in gray looked around the room. Her eyes were sharp and calculating. She walked up to the counter where Becca was standing. Becca stared at her like she had just seen a ghost. "Excuse me," the woman said. Her voice was calm and professional. "I'm looking for someone, a man named Samuel Rodriguez. Does he work here?" Becca nodded slowly. She pointed at Sam without saying a word. The woman turned and looked at him. So did the man beside her. So did all 4 of the men in black. Sam felt his heart start to pound. He did not know what was happening, but he knew it was not good. People like this did not walk into places like Beacon Street Cafe unless something was very wrong. The woman walked over to him. She stopped a few feet away and studied his face. "Are you Samuel Rodriguez?" she asked. Sam nodded. His mouth was too dry to speak. "My name is Margaret Calloway," the woman said. "I'm an attorney representing the estate of Amelia Rose Hart." She gestured to the man beside her. "This is my colleague, Richard Brennan. We need to speak with you. Is there somewhere private we can talk?" Sam felt the floor tilt under him. Amelia. That was her name. He had never known it before. And now this woman was standing in front of him saying words like estate and attorney, and he did not understand any of it. "What's going on?" Sam asked. His voice came out hoarse. Margaret looked at him with something that might have been sympathy. "Perhaps we should sit down," she said. Sam led them to the back corner, to the table where she used to sit. The coffee cup was still there, cold and untouched. Margaret glanced at it but did not say anything. The 4 men in black suits stayed near the door. They did not sit. They just stood there with their hands folded in front of them, watching. Margaret opened her briefcase and pulled out a folder. Richard did the same. They both sat down across from Sam. He sat in the chair where she used to sit. It felt wrong. "Mr. Rodriguez," Margaret began, "I'm very sorry to inform you that Amelia Rose Hart passed away 2 nights ago." Sam felt something cold rush through him. He had known. Deep down, he had known. But hearing it out loud made it real. Made it final. "How?" he asked quietly. "Heart failure," Margaret said. She had been ill for some time. She knew it was coming. Sam stared at the table. He thought about the way she had looked the last time he saw her. Thin and tired and fragile. He thought about the shaking hands, the tears, the notebook. He thought about all the things he should have asked. Should have done. "Why are you here?" Sam asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Margaret exchanged a glance with Richard. Then she looked back at Sam. "Because Ms. Hart left very specific instructions," Margaret said. "She wanted us to find you. She wanted us to deliver something to you personally." Sam looked up at her. "What?" Richard opened his folder and pulled out an envelope. It was thick and cream-colored and sealed with wax. He slid it across the table. Sam stared at it. "Before you open that," Margaret said, "there's something you need to know. Amelia Rose Hart was not who you thought she was." Sam frowned. "What do you mean?" Margaret leaned forward slightly. "Ms. Hart was a very wealthy woman. She inherited a significant fortune from her family. At the time of her death, her estate was valued at approximately $900 million. Sam blinked. He looked at Margaret like she had just spoken a different language. "That's not possible," he said. "She was homeless. She didn't have anything." "She had everything," Richard said quietly. "She just chose not to show it." Margaret nodded. 2 years ago, Ms. Hart experienced a series of personal tragedies. She lost her parents in a car accident. Her fiancé left her shortly after. She fell into a deep depression and withdrew from her life entirely. She began living anonymously, moving from place to place, trying to understand who she was without her wealth and status. She wanted to see how people would treat her when she had nothing. Sam felt his throat tighten. He thought about the worn jacket, the tangled hair, the way she had flinched when people got too close. He thought about how everyone in the cafe had avoided her, had called her names, had wished she would leave. Everyone except him. "She came to this cafe because it was ordinary," Margaret continued, "because no one knew who she was, and for months no one treated her like a person, no one except you." Sam looked down at the envelope. His hands were shaking. "She wrote about you," Richard said. "In her journal. She wrote about the way you made her coffee, the way you cut her toast into small pieces so it would be easier for her to eat, the way you never asked her for anything, never made her feel small. She said you were the only person who saw her as human." Sam felt his eyes start to burn. He blinked hard. Margaret reached into her briefcase again and pulled out a check. She slid it across the table next to the envelope. Sam looked down at it. The number was written in neat black ink. $1 million. He stared at it. His brain could not process what he was seeing. "This is for you," Margaret said. "Ms. Hart wanted you to have it. She left instructions that it was to be delivered to you personally, along with that letter." Sam shook his head. "I can't take this." "You can," Richard said. "And you should." It was her wish. Sam looked at the check again. $1 million. He thought about Luke, about the overdue bills, about the apartment with the broken heat, about the dream he had given up, about all the things he could do with that money, all the problems it would solve. But he also thought about her, about the woman who had sat in this chair and drank cold coffee and cried in silence. About the way she had smiled at Luke, about the way she had asked him if he would start over if he could. He picked up the envelope and opened it. Inside was a single piece of paper. The handwriting was neat and careful. He recognized it from the notebook she used to carry. The letter read, "Dear Sam, if you are reading this, then I am gone. I'm sorry I couldn't say goodbye in person. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you the truth while I was still here. But I want you to know that you saved me. Not in the way people usually mean when they say that. You didn't fix me, or rescue me, or change my life. You just treated me like I mattered. And that was everything. I spent 2 years trying to find out who I was without money, without status, without the things that people said made me valuable. And what I found was that most people didn't see me at all. I was invisible. I was inconvenient. I was something to be avoided. But you saw me. You made me coffee. You cut my toast. You asked me how I was. You let your son talk to me like I was a person worth knowing. You did all of that without knowing who I was or what I had. You did it because it was the right thing to do. And that is rarer than you know. I'm leaving you this money because I want you to have the chance I had. The chance to start over. To build something that matters. To chase the dream you told me about. But more than that, I'm leaving it to you because I trust you. I trust that you will use it the way it was meant to be used. Not to buy things or to escape your life, but to make the world a little bit better. The way you made mine better. Thank you for seeing me, Sam. Thank you for treating me like I was worth something. You will never know how much that meant." With gratitude, Amelia Sam read the letter 3 times. Then he folded it carefully and put it back in the envelope. His hands were still shaking. His eyes were wet. He wiped them quickly with the back of his hand. Margaret and Richard sat quietly and waited. The cafe around them had gone back to its usual noise. People talking, dishes clattering, the espresso machine hissing. But at this table, everything was still. "What am I supposed to do with this?" Sam asked. His voice cracked. "That's up to you," Margaret said. "The money is yours. No conditions, no strings. She trusted you to decide." Sam looked at the check again. He thought about what Becca had said, that he could barely save himself. He thought about Luke. About the life he could give him with this money. A better apartment, a better school, college someday, security. But he also thought about Amelia, about the way she had looked at him when she asked if kindness was worth anything, about the way she had smiled when he said he would start over if he could. He thought about what she would want him to do. Sam folded the check and put it in his pocket. Then he looked at Margaret. "I want to set up a fund," he said. "A charity. For people like her. People who need help. Women who are struggling. Kids who don't have enough. People who are invisible." Margaret studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was small, but genuine. "I think she knew you would say that," Margaret said. Over the next few weeks, Sam worked with Margaret and Richard to establish the Amelia Rose Heart Foundation. The fund would provide support for homeless women, children in need, and anyone who had fallen through the cracks. It would pay for meals and shelter and medical care. It would pay for the things that people like Amelia needed when they had nothing. Sam did not quit his job at the cafe. He still worked the morning shift. He still made coffee and cut toast. But now, every morning, he set aside a portion of his tips and added it to the foundation. It was not much, but it was something. Luke asked him once why he gave the money away, why he did not use it to make their life easier. Sam thought about how to answer that. Then he told Luke about Amelia, about the woman who used to sit in the corner, about the way she had taught him to fold paper, about the way she had smiled. "She taught me something important," Sam said. "She taught me that people matter, even when no one else sees them, even when they don't have anything to give back. They still matter." Luke thought about that. Then he nodded. "I think she was right," Luke said. On a cold Saturday morning in December, Sam and Luke drove to the cemetery. Sam carried a thermos of coffee and a small bag with a piece of toast inside. He had cut it into small pieces, the way he always did. They walked through the rows of headstones until they found hers. It was simple. Just her name and the dates. Amelia Rose Hart. Beloved daughter. Beloved friend. Sam knelt down and set the coffee and the toast on the ground in front of the stone. Luke stood beside him and put his hand on Sam's shoulder. "Is she really here?" Luke asked quietly. Sam shook his head. "No, I don't think so. I think she's somewhere else." "Somewhere better." Luke looked at the headstone. "Do you miss her?" Sam nodded. "Yeah, I do." They stood there for a while in silence. The wind blew cold, and the sky was gray. But Sam did not feel cold. He felt something else, something warm and solid in his chest. He thought about the letter, about the words she had written. "You saw me. You treated me like I was worth something." He thought about all the people in the world who felt invisible, who felt like they did not matter, who sat in the corners of cafes and waited for someone to notice them. And he made a promise, to her, to himself, to everyone who needed it. He would keep seeing them. He would keep treating them like they mattered, because they did. Sam stood up and took Luke's hand. They walked back through the cemetery together. Behind them, the coffee sat steaming in the cold air. The toast sat waiting. And somewhere, Sam hoped, Amelia was smiling.